I won the $800 million lottery after my family called me a loser. Now my brother, ex-husband, and parents are furious I changed my name, disappeared to Dubai, and left them my suicide note. Hello lovelies. Subscribe to stay connected, comment a quick hi, and let us know your location. We love hearing from you. Now let's continue today's story. They found me unconscious on my apartment floor at 2 a.m. My brother Aaron kicked the door in, screaming about the smell. When I opened my eyes in the hospital 3 days later, my mother's first words weren't, "Thank God you're alive." They were, "Do you know how much this ambulance cost us?" I'm Lillian. 32 years old. College dropout. Divorced. Childless. The family disappointment who couldn't keep a husband or hold down a decent job. My ex-husband Devin had left me 6 months earlier for a woman named Brittany, someone with ambition and a future, he'd said while packing his PlayStation and leaving me with $47,000 in credit card debt he'd racked up. "You're pathetic, Jazz," my father said, standing at the foot of my hospital bed. 32 years old and we're still cleaning up your messes. Your brother has a real career. A real life. Aaron, the golden child, smirked from the corner. Mr. Perfect with his finance job and pristine credit score. Maybe this was a cry for help, he muttered to our mother, loud enough for me to hear. Attention-seeking behavior. I hadn't tried to kill myself. I'd had the flu, gotten dehydrated, and passed out. But explaining that to them felt pointless. In their eyes, I'd always be the screw-up who needed saving. The nurse came in with discharge papers. I signed them with shaking hands, my mother complaining about having to drive me home. None of them noticed the lottery ticket tucked in my wallet. The one I'd bought 3 days before collapsing. The one with numbers I hadn't checked yet. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, you know this pain. Drop a comment below about a time someone underestimated you. I waited until they left before asking the nurse for her phone. Mine had died days ago and Aaron had forgotten to bring my charger. My hands trembled as I pulled up the lottery website. The jackpot was $847 million. I'd bought the ticket at the corner store on a whim, using my last $20 before payday. The winning numbers appeared on the screen. 7, 14, 23, 31, 45 and Powerball 12. My ticket numbers. 7, 14, 23, 31, 45 and Powerball 12. I checked 3 times. 4 times. My heart pounded so violently I thought I'd pass out again. The phone slipped from my fingers onto the sterile white sheets. A nurse rushed over, concerned, but I could barely breathe. $847 million. Not the lump sum, but still, after taxes, somewhere around $450 million. I'd won. Me. The family failure. The disappointment who couldn't do anything right. My first instinct was to call them. To share this impossible miracle. My mother answered on the 5th ring, annoyed. "What now, Lillian? We just left the hospital." "Mom, I don't want to hear excuses about your life. Your father and I are tired. Aaron had to take off work for this drama." Something in me crystallized. Cold and sharp. "Never mind," I whispered. "Typical," she said and hung up. I sat in that hospital bed, holding a piece of paper worth more money than my family would see in 10 lifetimes, and realized something profound. They didn't deserve to know. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The elderly patient in the next bed caught my eye. She smiled gently. "Good news, honey?" I smiled back, tears streaming. "Yes, ma'am. Very good news." "What would you do first with lottery winnings?" "Comment bilo?" I checked myself out of the hospital that evening, took an Uber to a hotel downtown and paid cash for 3 nights. My hands still shook as I Googled lottery lawyers near me. The first 6 firms I called didn't take me seriously. One receptionist actually laughed when I said I'd won the jackpot. The 7th call connected me to Patricia Robbins, a wealth management attorney with 30 years of experience. Her voice was crisp, professional. "I've represented 4 lottery winners. If you're legitimate, I can help you. If you're wasting my time, I'll know within 5 minutes." We met the next morning at her office downtown. I wore the same clothes from the hospital, smelled like 3 days of flu sweat, and probably looked half dead. Patricia's assistant wrinkled her nose when I walked in. But Patricia herself remained expressionless as I showed her the ticket, my ID, and the security footage request I'd already submitted to the store. She examined everything with a jeweler's precision. Finally, she looked up. "Ms. Reynolds, you're about to become one of the wealthiest women in this country. Do you understand what that means? I shook my head. It means your life as you know it is over. Everyone you've ever met will want something from you. Family, friends, strangers, they'll come out of the woodwork. Some with love, most with greed. She leaned forward. My first question, who have you told? No one. Smart. Let's keep it that way. He pulled out a legal pad. Now tell me about your family. For the next 2 hours I told her everything. The years of criticism, the comparisons to Aaron, Devon's betrayal, the hospital incident. Patricia listened without judgment, taking notes. I have a plan, she finally said. But it's unconventional. Possibly cruel. Are you interested? I thought of my mother's voice. Do you know how much this ambulance cost us? Tell me everything. Patricia's plan was methodical and brilliant. First, we'd claim the ticket through a trust she'd create, keeping my identity completely anonymous. The state allowed it, thankfully. Second, I'd disappear, gradually making it look natural. Third, and this was the part that made my stomach flip, we'd leave behind evidence that I'd simply given up on life. I'm not suggesting you fake your death, Patricia clarified. That's illegal and messy. But a carefully worded note, a closed social media presence, and a strategic absence? That's just a woman choosing to start fresh. Over the next 3 weeks, everything moved with surgical precision. The ticket was validated. The trust was established. Patricia's team included a financial advisor named Bernard, a therapist named Dr. Nicole Williams, and a private investigator named James who ran background checks on everyone in my life. What James discovered made my blood run cold. Your ex-husband Devon, James said during one meeting, sliding photos across Patricia's conference table. He's been stalking your social media. Screenshots everything you post. Has a group chat with your brother Aaron called Jazz's Disasters where they mock your life updates. The photos showed Discord messages, cruel jokes about my weight, my job at the retail store, my desperate dating profile attempts. Aaron had written, when is she gonna finally get the hint that nobody wants her? Devon's response, maybe when she stops being such a burden on everyone. My hands clenched. Dr. Williams touched my shoulder gently. Lillian, this is emotional abuse. Systematic, intentional cruelty. These people have been tearing you down for years. There's more, James continued. Your parents have been telling extended family that you're mentally unstable. They've been borrowing money from relatives, claiming it's for your medical expenses and treatment. In reality, they've been funding Aaron's new house down payment. I felt something break inside me. Then rebuild. Harder. Colder. Let's do this, I said. Dr. Williams helped me write it. She insisted on being present, making sure I understood the psychological impact. This will destroy them, she warned. Not because they love you, but because of the guilt. The optics. What people will think of them. The note took 3 days to perfect. It couldn't mention the money. That would raise suspicions later. It had to sound authentic, broken, defeated. It had to reflect the Lillian they'd created through years of systematic degradation. I wrote by hand, tears smudging the ink. To my family. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not dead. I'm not giving you that story to tell at family gatherings. Just gone. Disappeared. Erased from the life that never wanted me anyway. Mom, Dad, you raised Aaron to be golden and me to be a cautionary tale. You succeeded. I'm exactly what you said I'd be. Nothing. But I'm tired of being your nothing. I'm tired of apologizing for existing. Aaron, remember that conversation we had when I was 12? You told me I'd never be as good as you. You were right. I'm not like you. I don't find joy in cruelty. Devon, thank you for leaving. You freed me from pretending I mattered to someone. I'm leaving this city. This state. This version of myself. I'm becoming someone none of you know. Someone who doesn't answer your calls or clean up your emotional messes. You look for me. You won't find me. Don't call the police. I'm not missing. I'm just done. The daughter, sister, and ex-wife you never deserved. Lillian. Dr. Williams read it twice. This is powerful. Painful. How do you feel? Free, I whispered. Patricia handled the logistics. The note would be mailed from my apartment after I'd already left the country. My phone would be found in my apartment, wiped clean. My social media would go dark overnight. Are you ready? Patricia asked the night before my flight. I looked at the woman in the mirror. Lillian Reynolds. Failure. Disappointment. Burden. Tomorrow she'd cease to exist. The private jet left at 4 a.m. I'd never been on a plane before, let alone one that cost $120,000 to charter. The leather seats smelled like money. The flight attendant called me Ms. Robbins, Patricia's idea. I was traveling under a corporate identity until my legal name change processed. Bernard sat across from me, iPad displaying my new financial reality. Your immediate liquid funds are $15 million. That's separate from the trust's investment portfolio, which is currently worth $437 million after taxes and Patricia's team fees. The Dubai property closes in 3 days. A penthouse overlooking the marina. $8.2 million paid in full. Numbers that felt fictional. Impossible. I've also established accounts in Switzerland and the Cayman Islands, he continued. Legal, completely above board, but private. Your family will never be able to trace this money, even if they somehow discover you're alive and wealthy. I stared out the window as the sun rose over the Atlantic. Somewhere below, my family was waking up. My mother was probably complaining about something. Aaron was checking his stock portfolio. Devin was telling Brittany another story about his crazy ex-wife. None of them knew their world was about to implode. My phone, a new number registered to the trust, buzzed. Patricia, note delivered. Your apartment landlord will find it tomorrow when he checks on the abandoned unit. Game face Lillian. This is really happening. I turned off the phone and ordered champagne. The flight attendant smiled. Celebrating something special, Ms. Robbins? I thought about Aaron's Discord messages. Mom's disappointed sighs. Devin's parting words, you'll never be enough for anyone. Yes, I said, accepting the crystal flute. By death. Her eyes widened. The death of who I used to be, I clarified, smiling. He understood. They always do. Have you ever wanted to just disappear and start over? Let me know in the comments. Aaron found the note on a Tuesday. According to James, who was monitoring their communications remotely, legally, through their public social media, my brother had gone to my apartment after I'd missed work for 2 weeks. The landlord let him in, concerned about unpaid rent. The apartment was empty. Not abandoned looking, deliberately cleared. I'd donated everything to charity, left the keys on the counter, and placed the note on the kitchen table beside a photo of our family from 10 years ago. The photo where I was smiling, still hopeful, still believing I mattered to them. James sent me the screenshots of Aaron's panicked texts. Aaron to Mom, she's gone. Like actually gone. Left a note. Says she's disappearing. What the hell do we do? Mom to Aaron, this is so typical of her. Always dramatic. She'll be back in a week begging for money. Aaron to Dad, I don't think you understand. Her apartment is empty. Professionally cleaned. Like she planned this. Dad to Aaron, call her phone. Aaron to Dad, goes straight to voicemail. The number's disconnected. My mother called the police 3 hours later. James had a contact in the department who fed us information. The officer who took the report was skeptical. She's an adult who left a note explicitly saying not to look for her. This isn't a missing person case. This is a woman exercising her right to leave. But she's not stable, my mother had insisted. She just got out of the hospital. She's depressed. The officer's report noted. Mother seems more concerned about optics than daughter's actual well-being. No evidence of foul play. Adult has right to relocate. Devin called Aaron that evening. James sent me the audio recording. They'd done a 3-way call with my father. This makes me look terrible, Devin said. People are asking if I drove her to this. You did drive her to this, my father snapped. You left her broken. She was already broken, Frank. I just stopped pretending to fix her. Aaron laughed. Actually laughed. Guy has a point. I listened to that recording 3 times before Dr. Williams made me stop. My new name was Amara Mensa. Patricia had helped me choose it. Amara meaning grace in Igbo, Mensa meaning third daughter in Akan. A name that honored my African heritage without connecting to my previous identity. The legal process took 8 weeks, expedited through international channels that money made accessible. The Dubai penthouse was obscene. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Persian Gulf. 5 bedrooms I'd never fill. A private pool on the terrace. The building had a concierge who spoke 7 languages and could get you anything, legal or otherwise, within hours. I hired a staff. A housekeeper named Amina who taught me Arabic phrases, a personal trainer named Aaron. I changed his name to Mark immediately, and a chef named Laurent who made the kind of food I'd only seen on cooking shows. But the loneliness was suffocating. Dr. Williams conducted our sessions via encrypted video calls. You're grieving, she explained during our third week. Not the family you lost, but the family you never had. The one you deserved. I'd started a foundation. Patricia helped structure it. $50 million dedicated to supporting women leaving abusive relationships, families, and marriages. We called it the Second Sunrise Foundation. Anonymous, untraceable to me, but doing real work. Shelters, legal aid, therapy services, job training. Every woman we helped felt like a piece of me being saved. Meanwhile, James sent updates. My family had hired a private investigator. He traced my movements to the airport, then hit a wall. The corporate identity, the chartered jet, the international destination. All untraceable without serious resources they didn't have. My mother had started a social media campaign. Have you seen Lillian Reynolds? The irony was suffocating. For years they hadn't really seen me. Now they were plastering my face across the internet. Devon had called Aaron, concerned about liability. Apparently, Brittany was upset about the attention, worried it made Devon look like the bad guy. You are the bad guy, I whispered to my computer screen. It started small. A cousin named Trina reached out to my old friend Keisha, asking questions. Keisha, thankfully, knew nothing. I distanced myself from everyone before leaving. But Trina was persistent, and what she told Keisha made its way back to James. Your parents have been borrowing money from extended family for years, James reported. Thousands of dollars. All supposedly for your medical treatment and psychiatric care. Trina started asking questions when your mother requested another $5,000 for your hospitalization expenses. But I haven't been hospitalized since that flu incident, I said. Exactly. Trina did some digging. Found out Aaron bought a new house 6 months ago. Same month your parents borrowed $15,000 from various relatives for your treatment. The math isn't matting, as they say. I felt sick. They'd been profiting off their narrative of my brokenness. There's more, James continued. Devon's been telling people you were emotionally abusive. That he left for his safety. Brittany's been co-signing this story. They've painted you as unstable, manipulative, dangerous. Dr. Williams was present for this call. Her face was stone. Lillian, this is called DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Classic abuser tactic. What do we do? I asked. Patricia leaned into frame. We have options. We could expose them publicly. We have evidence. The Discord messages, the financial records, witness testimonies. Or, I prompted. We could let them destroy themselves. Liars eventually contradict their own stories. Fraudsters eventually get caught. We just need to give them enough rope. I thought about it for 3 days. Then made a decision that would change everything. Let's help them hang themselves, I said. But carefully. The plan was devious. We'd have an anonymous source send Trina the Discord screenshots. Just enough to make her question everything. Then we'd wait. What would you do? Fight back or let karma work? Comment bilo? Trina received the screenshots on a Sunday morning. James sent me her reaction in real time. She'd posted in a family group chat that didn't include my parents or Aaron. Trina, y'all need to see this. I don't know who sent it, but if this is real, we've been played. She shared the Discord messages. The cruel jokes. The mockery. Aaron and Devon's systematic degradation of me while everyone donated money for my supposed care. My Aunt Valerie responded first. I gave them $3,000 last year for Lillian's medication. Are you telling me this was a lie? Uncle Jerome, $2,500 here. For her therapy sessions. I'm calling Frank right now. The family imploded within hours. My father's phone was bombarded. My mother tried to spin it. Those messages are out of context. Aaron was just venting. But the math was undeniable. They'd collected over $50,000 from relatives while I'd been struggling to pay rent on my retail salary. Aaron tried to defend himself on Facebook. Big mistake. Aaron Reynolds. My sister was troubled. We tried to help. Sometimes venting to friends is how we cope. These leaked messages are a violation of privacy. The comments destroyed him. You called your sister a burden while stealing money meant for her care. That's not venting, that's fraud. I hope she never comes back. She deserves better than you. Imagine being so cruel to someone who is clearly struggling. You're disgusting. Devon tried to stay quiet, but Brittany posted a defensive rant. Devon's ex-wife was toxic and abusive. He left for his mental health. Stop judging situations you don't understand. Keisha, bless her, replied publicly, I knew Lillian for 10 years. She was kind, generous, and broke herself trying to be enough for people who treated her like dirt. Devon left her with $47,000 in his debt. Check your facts. The internet is undefeated. Within days, someone created a TikTok about my story. It went viral. Millions of views. Comments flooded with support for me, the missing woman who'd finally had enough. My family became cautionary tale villains. Exactly what they'd made me. 6 months into my new life, I sent them each a letter. Untraceable, postmarked from 3 different countries, typed on paper that couldn't be traced. Patricia advised against it. Dr. Williams suggested I was reopening wounds. Bernard thought it was financially irrelevant. But I needed them to know. Not everything. Just enough. To my mother. You asked me once why I couldn't be more like Aaron. I finally have the answer. Because being like Aaron would mean becoming someone who mistakes cruelty for strength. You raced him to win at any cost. You raced me to believe I was the cost. I hope that knowledge keeps you warm at night. I'm alive. I'm thriving. I'm everything you said I'd never be. And you'll never benefit from any of it. That's not revenge. That's just consequences. Your former daughter. To my father. You told me I was a disappointment. You were right. I disappointed you by surviving despite your best efforts to make me believe I shouldn't. I disappointed you by refusing to stay small enough for your comfort. I disappointed you by finally understanding that your approval was never worth having. I hope Aaron's house was worth your integrity. To Aaron. Remember when we were kids and you said I'd never amount to anything? You were wrong. But I understand why you needed to believe it. Some people only feel big when they're making others feel small. I hope the view from your fraudulently funded house is worth the family you destroyed. Sleep well, big brother. To Devon. You said I'd never be enough for anyone. Turns out I was always enough. You just weren't equipped to recognize value when it was loving you unconditionally. Brittany's welcome to you. I consider it community service, keeping you away from women who deserve better. Thank you for leaving. You freed me to become impossible. James confirmed delivery. Aaron threw his letter across the room. My mother cried, not from remorse but from rage at being disrespected. My father called the police about threatening letters. The officer reportedly laughed him out of the station. Devon showed Brittany his letter. According to James's sources, they fought for 3 hours. She'd started questioning his version of our marriage. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Just the quiet peace of a door finally, permanently closed. A year after my disappearance, I stood on my Dubai terrace at sunset, watching the city transform into light. Amara Mensah owned 3 properties now, had invested in 4 startups supporting women entrepreneurs, and had quietly funded scholarships for 200 students from low-income families. The Second Sunrise Foundation had helped 1,847 women leave toxic situations. Each one received $10,000, legal support, therapy access, and job training. Each one was someone's daughter, sister, ex-wife who'd been told she was nothing. We saved them all. Dr. Williams had reduced our sessions to monthly check-ins. You've done the work, she said during our last call. You've processed the grief, the anger, the betrayal. You've built something meaningful from pain. How do you feel? Tired, I admitted. But free. I'd made friends in Dubai. Real ones. Zara, a Syrian refugee turned successful restaurateur. Priya, an Indian tech executive escaping her own family's expectations. Michelle, an American expat running from a similar story to mine. We called ourselves the Phoenix Circle, women rebuilt from ash. They didn't know about the lottery. They knew Amara Mensah, the quiet philanthropist who smiled rarely but meant it when she did. They knew my scars without knowing their origin. One evening, Zara asked me directly, "What are you running from?" I'd been waiting for this question. People who confused control with love, I said simply. She nodded, understanding immediately. Did you get away? I thought about the penthouse, the foundation, the name change, the ocean between my past and present. I thought about the woman who'd been found unconscious on an apartment floor, worth less than nothing to the people who should have loved her most. Yes, I said. I got away. But that wasn't quite true. Because getting away implied they were still chasing. And they weren't. Not anymore. They were just living with the consequences of losing someone they never valued until she was gone. That's not escape. That's evolution. 2 years after my disappearance, James sent me the final update. My mother had been diagnosed with early-onset dementia. My father had requested my contact information from every possible source, desperate to find me before she forgot who I was entirely. Aaron had divorced his wife. Apparently she'd discovered his true character through the family scandal. Devon and Brittany had broken up. She'd found messages to other women that matched his pattern with me. They'd all lost something. Everything maybe. And they wanted me to absolve them. To come home. To be the bigger person. To forgive. Dr. Williams and I had our final session that week. "What do you want to do?" she asked. I thought about it for days. Weeks. I flew back to the States. Not home, just the country, and sat in a hotel room 3 hours from where they lived. I could drive there. Walk into my mother's hospital room. Let my father cry on my shoulder. Tell Aaron I forgave him. I could be the daughter who saves the family despite everything they did to break her. Said I wrote one last letter. I sent it to my mother's hospice, addressed to my father. "Dad, I heard Mom is sick. I'm sorry you're going through this. I truly am. Watching someone you love forget who they are must be devastating. But I can't come home. Because home was never a place where I was loved. It was a place where I was tolerated as long as I stayed small, stayed broken, stayed apologetic for existing. You want closure. Forgiveness. Absolution. I can't give you that. Not because I'm cruel, but because forgiving you would mean pretending the last 32 years didn't happen. It would mean telling you that the damage you caused doesn't matter. And it does matter. It mattered then. It matters now. I hope Mom's final days are peaceful. I hope she remembers the good things. I hope you find a way to live with what you've done. But I won't be there. Not as your daughter. Not as your redemption arc. Not as the bigger person who makes you feel better about being small. I'm alive. I'm well. I'm finally free. That's all you need to know. It's more than you deserve. Goodbye. The girl you never really knew. I never sent information about the money. They'll die never knowing I became everything they said I couldn't be. They'll die believing I'm out there somewhere, struggling, maybe happy, probably not. They'll never know about Amara. About the foundation. About the empire built from the ashes of Lillian Reynolds. And honestly, that's the greatest gift I could give myself. Not revenge. Not even justice. Just the simple, profound freedom of being unknowable to people who never bothered to know you in the first place. I'm crying as I write this final entry, but they're not sad tears. They're relief. They're closure on my terms. They're the period at the end of a sentence I finally get to finish. If you've made it this far in my story, thank you. To everyone feeling invisible, underestimated, or unloved by people who should cherish you, you deserve better. You are enough. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply walk away and build something beautiful in the spaces where they said nothing would grow. Subscribe if this story touched you. Comment if you've ever had to choose yourself over family. Share this if you know someone who needs to hear they're not alone. I'm Amara Mensah now. And I'm finally home.